one of 3 strategies I've implemented for how I've reduced the amount of time I spend in my inbox, and I hope that it will be valuable to you as well. Let me share screen, go full screen here, and then I'll share with you how you'll be able to learn the other 3 if you're curious. So as I grew my business, and as you'll grow your business if you haven't gotten there yet, I became stuck. I just kept spending more and more time in my inbox. It was, I guess, a good problem to have, but it wasn't a problem I wanted. I was getting a lot of emails and texts and calls to my personal inbox and my CRM, which I use Follow Boss. So that's what the focus is on this session. And it was new leads that were interested in our services. It was current clients that were coming in. It was past clients, because all of our marketing included my email for branding purposes. And I quickly grew to just spending 4 hours a day in my inbox. And I said, I'm not getting anything done. I was spending 4 hours a day in the inbox and then 4 hours a day on calls, left no time to do anything else. I needed to work on the business, not in it. So I implemented 3 different strategies. Like I mentioned, I'm sharing one of those today. And I was able to reduce that time from 4 hours to 30 minutes. I didn't all of a sudden just start ignoring people to do that. I didn't implement or pay for any crazy tools. I didn't implement AI. So with that said, we'll get started. I was also, because I was spending so much time in the inbox, I was starting to leave items too long in there, and people were waiting days. So let's get started. So I can skip that because I just shared everything. So I turned my personal email into a team inbox. So I didn't want to share my login with other team members for security reasons. I didn't want to share my password. So instead, I turned my email into a shared inbox, so they didn't have to log into my personal Gmail account. They didn't have to log into my personal CRM either. But a note in all caps: only do this if you have team members, an admin, or an assistant who's capable of answering communication on your behalf. I didn't implement this until I had someone on my team who had the knowledge to do this, or if there was something in my inbox she didn't know the answer to, she didn't try to just fake it and answer an email. She left it there for me because, like I said, I spend 30 minutes a day. So if there's an item in my inbox, it's there for a reason. She's left it there for me, and now my inbox is managed by a few different people. They've left it there for me because they don't know the answer. You can also only create a team inbox if you have more than one user in Follow Boss. So that's the main purpose of this, is you want to leverage the people in your company. So they most likely are in your Follow Boss account. So you only have access to this feature if you have more than one user or one seat in your account. So first part of this session, I'm going to teach you how to turn your email into a team inbox, and then I'm going to show you how to turn your phone number into the team inbox. So I'm going to start out showing some screenshots and then transition to my Follow Boss account, because some of it I do have to show live. So it's being recorded, so you can follow along live, but if it goes too fast, you can catch the recording. I'll be emailing the recording out to everyone who registered. So in Follow Boss is kind of cut off, but in the top right corner of Follow Boss will either be your initials or your picture, and then you'll click on My Settings. You'll have to scroll down a little bit. You won't see this full screen here. I'm just zoomed out to show you. If you scroll down, there's this section here in your settings. If your email is connected, it'll show your email address. But if it's not, it will look like this, and it'll say sign in with Google or Microsoft 365. So in this screenshot, mine's already disconnected. And yours, if it's connected, then you'll see your email address and there'll be a button to click disconnect. So you'll want to click the disconnect button. When you click disconnect, nothing crazy is going to happen. In fact, if you have any current action plans running in your account or batch, if you send batch emails, you'll still be able to do that without any disruption. And like usual with any of these sessions, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I'll be checking the chat throughout. But now we're going to be connecting that email address you just disconnected into a team inbox. So to do that in Follow Boss, you click on the inbox in the top left corner. When you open the inbox, below your inbox and below any others you might see, the very bottom, it's in light gray and it's kind of hard to see, is this Manage button. And when you click on that, you're taken to this page here. That's what the step 2 is. You're taken to a new page, this Manage page. And there's a button on the top right side to create a new team inbox. When you click that button, you're taken to this page. And now I'm going to go into a live view from my Follow Boss account because there were too many things to show on this page to do a screenshot. So when you're taken to this page, this is where you're going to be able to configure your inbox. We're going to be skipping a few steps here, but we're going to come back to them. So first, you'll name your inbox. I named mine my name, so we know exactly what it is. So I just said Elena's inbox. It's going to assign you some random new phone number. You can ignore that. You're not going to be using it. Don't even worry about it if you don't like the area code. Like 325 isn't even where I live. That's not an area code, but I'm not even going to be using that or worrying about it. This says call routing, but that's not what we're using this for right now. We're using this for your email, my email. So we're adding team members to have access to your email address in this inbox. So when you click the Add Team Member button, you're selecting who's going to have access to your email inbox when you create this. So me personally, I wanted Kendra to have access. I wanted Jenna to have access, and I wanted Jesse to have access. So in order to configure a team inbox in Follow Boss, I'm just making sure I'm sharing the right tab. Okay. In order for you to be able to share the inbox, each person needs to have a seat in Follow Boss. But again, we're ignoring all of these settings. We're ignoring these settings. Oh, why is my cursor? We're ignoring all of these settings here for now. We're not setting up any phone number or call routing or any of this. All we're focused on right now is selecting who we want to have access to your email, because we're not sharing them with them your login to your CRM. We're not sending them your login to your email for security reasons. Yeah, you can do that with your VA. Just anyone that you want to help manage your email inbox. It's anyone that you trust to help respond to your emails, or if you don't want them to respond, just simply help keep it clean. So maybe you receive unwanted emails and you just want them to simply either archive them or assign them to someone else on your team, which I'll show you in a little bit. That maybe you get emails that shouldn't even go to you, but they should go to someone else. They can just do inbox cleanup for you. We're ignoring all of this too. We're not configuring any phone number stuff. We're going to come back to that later. We're just configuring team members that you want to have access to this. Now you notice under here, I can't set up and connect my email yet. I have to, I don't know why. You have to click save and create the inbox first. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click save. So I have to go back and forth here. So once you click save, you're taken back to the inbox and your new inbox that you just created. So if you notice, I have the actual inbox I use up here, Elena's inbox. And then I have this dummy one I just created. So the inbox you just created is at the very bottom of this list, and it's the one that's automatically selected. So now that it's created, you need to go back. You need to click manage again in the bottom left corner here. So that's where we're going. And then you need to click it's going to be at the very bottom, the one you just created. You need to click this edit icon. to go back into it again, all just to connect your email. I don't know why Follow Boss doesn't let us do it when we create it initially. So now that we've created it, then the ability to connect your email address appears. So depending on if you use Google or 365, that's the button you'll select. If you don't know, if you're in the middle of selecting an email provider, Google is what I recommend, simply because of the way that the two talk to each other, Follow Boss and Google. Whenever you archive an email in Follow Boss, it's called close in Follow Boss. It archives it in Google, and vice versa. When you archive an email in Google, it archives in Follow Boss. With 365, that doesn't happen. So you're going to be doing double work. So sign in with Google. You click your email. I'm not going to do it because it'll disconnect from my actual team inbox. You'll click sign in with Google, select your email address, or sign in with 365 and connect your email address. You'll click allow permissions and then continue in order to connect your email and sync your email. And with your team inbox, what's interesting and different than your personal inbox, I'll show you with mine. The team inbox is going to pull every single email from your Gmail or Microsoft 365. With your regular FUB inbox, it only pulls emails if they're connected to a lead in Follow Boss. But a team inbox pulls in every single email you have, regardless of it's connected to a lead. So like I just got a marketing email here from a website provider curator, but they're not a lead in my Follow Boss account. So could be good or bad. Good for me because my admin and virtual assistant help me overall keep my inbox clean. So they're not only responding to emails for me, they're also helping me keep my inbox and email clean without me having to share my email login. And what's also a plus is if I'm receiving an incoming email from a legitimate lead and they're not in Follow Boss yet, and they open my inbox and see that, like let's pretend this is a legitimate lead interested in our services, they can quickly add this person in Follow Boss as a new lead. So just one little side share there. Any questions so far before I continue? Okay, cool. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. So as a recap so far, when you create the inbox, you name your inbox. We're ignoring this random phone number you're being assigned. You're not using it. You add the team members that you want to share this inbox with. We're ignoring everything right here. You have to click save. And then, this is double. And then you go back and then you can connect your email. Okay, so a couple of things. Whenever, and be sure you let your team members know that you're sharing your inbox, because once you create it and once you share it, when they log into Follow Boss, it's going to look like what I just showed you. They're going to see my inbox like they're going to see my inbox like they're used to seeing. If you have a company inbox, they're going to see that, but then all of a sudden they're going to see Elena's inbox. So just make sure you let them know, like, why do I all of a sudden have Chelsea's inbox in my inbox in Follow Boss? You can let them know what to do, what their expectation is, what to respond to, what to not respond to. I also recommend creating a simple standard operating procedure for how you respond. So this one, I'm going to let me know if I'm going too fast or if it's a little confusing or if I need to re-explain. I try my best to explain what happens when someone responds, and it might be easier if I explain here. So let me go back to manage for a second and managing the inbox. So was it here? Oh, I have to go to the actual one I used. After you connect your email, there's a section here that's reply from. If you'll notice, it might be kind of hard to read. You'll notice reply from, when a team member opens that team inbox and clicks reply directly there, the reply from will always come from your email address. even if they're logged in, even if Kendra is logged in her Follow Boss account and opens the team inbox, if she clicks reply directly from that inbox, the email is going to come from elena@keetechnology.com. You can customize the name that appears in the sender name, like if you have this box checked. But if you do that, it'll look like this. It'll say in their inbox, it'll say Kendra, Elena@keetechnology.com. And that's if they're going directly to the team inbox and clicking reply. Another thing that will happen is, and I just did this as a dummy, like to PayPal. Another thing that will happen is, hopefully you've set up like your email signature and Follow Boss. Because they're logged into their Follow Boss account, when they click reply, it's auto pulling their email signature from Follow Boss when they're creating the email. So if you see, it's automatically pulling in your email signature. So even though it's sending from my email and it even pulls Elena, my avatar, it's signed as Kendra. So that's probably going to confuse the person receiving the email. They're like, wait, I'm confused. This is coming from Elena. I emailed Elena. I'm expecting to be emailed from Elena, but when I open it, I see Kendra's name and I see Kendra's email signature. So there are two potential changes you can make. One is, and this all depends on what you want the client to think. Do you want the client to think that it is actually you emailing, even though it's not? Or do you want to be transparent and let the client know it's no longer you emailing them? And I think that just all depends on, one, do you trust the person who's emailing on your behalf to sound like you and to not make a mistake? And then if they make a mistake, what are you going to do? Like, that was it. We've come across that a couple of times of, wow, that sounded ridiculous. And then that person responded back. And then I have to say, whoops, I either have to say, oops, that wasn't me. That was my virtual assistant, or that was Kendra responding as me. And that's tricky to navigate. Or do you say, oh, my bad, and you pretend it still was you? So if you want them to continue pretending it is you, then you have them click reply in the team inbox. So you would have them open up the team inbox when they're logged in, click reply here like this. It's going to auto pull their Follow Boss signature and just have them remove it like that so that it doesn't have their signature in it. If you want the person to think it's actually you. When you do that, it's just going to do that. And then if you want them to think it's you, when you configure the inbox, then change this to always say it's Elena Kee or your name. Uncheck, type that in, and then it will uncheck this box to personalize with agent name, so that the lead always thinks it's you and doesn't know that it's not you responding. Because we had too many instances where it was, oops, my bad, or oops, that wasn't me, that clearly was not me answering, we don't do that. We make it clear it's not me emailing. The other option you can do, if you don't want the email coming from your email address, then you can, if you don't want the email coming from your email address and you don't like the fact that, okay, well, sure, I can keep their email signature in the bottom, and I can have the sender name say Kendra, but it's still going to put my email. That's still going to confuse people. I just want it completely passed on to where it's not coming from me anymore, and they know it's not me. That's what we do. We just say, hey, this is Kendra. I'm taking over for Elena. here's the answer, basically. They open up the team inbox, they see the email, and they reassign it to themselves, or they reassign it to whoever it is needs to take care of it. So let me just show it in live time. They open up the inbox, they see the email, and if they see this, and this, just pretend this is a client or whatever, and they say, oh, this needs to go to me, and this drop-down menu where it says Elena's inbox, they just click it and they say, okay, this needs to go to my inbox here, Kendra. And once she clicks on that, it's just going to transition from Elena's inbox over to my inbox when she's logged in. So as an example, let me just pretend I'm a VA. I'm going to transition this from Elena's inbox to Elena. When I do that, I might have to refresh. Oh, no, I don't. It just went from Elena's inbox to mine. And you can even see this circle here to show that it was assigned from someone else's inbox to mine, in this case from EK, assigned, and then you can have her assigned to me. So once an item gets assigned from Elena's inbox to either myself, because I want the email to come from me, or from if Kendra's logged in and she wants the email sent from her, or she wants the email if she's managing it, like let's say you have a virtual assistant and he or she says, oh, this email needs to get assigned to a buyer agent, or this email needs to get assigned to a transaction coordinator, and they're assigning emails out directly, then it's just going to go to that respective person's personal inbox. And when it gets assigned to that person's inbox, it's just going to go to their inbox, my inbox, and it'll just have a little circle here. It'll be a different color probably than mine, and it'll have initials. I think the initials show which user assigned it to them. So if your virtual assistant's name is Kendra Greneau, then the initials will be KG. There's someone hopping in. Okay. Any questions so far? Chelsea, you can unmute. Oh, let me know if you can't unmute.
Perfect. I was just curious, when you mentioned about connecting the inboxes with Google or 365, and it talks really nice with Google. Can you remind me in FUB, can we add in any tags or anything like that? And will then they apply also in Google, or is that kind of a separate thing?
No, it's just the email. Yeah, there's no labels or tags don't transfer over to Google, unfortunately.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. I muted myself instead of you. I think someone just hopped in. I don't know who it was, but it's being recorded, so you can catch the first part of this recording. One other thing I forgot to mention, if you want to give some background information before you assign an email, or before an assistant or virtual assistant assigns an email, so the person just doesn't see a random email in their inbox and they have no idea why, you can add a note, which is what I really like. So you can say, oh, I don't want to assign a legitimate one, so let me just push this back here. Say you can, so here's this note. Can you see this note here? You can create a note and it's private. So the client's not seeing it. Obviously the lead's not seeing it. It also doesn't get added to the timeline permanently. It's just a temporary note that's within this very specific inbox item. So you can mention whoever it is you're assigning the item to. I don't know if I can mention myself though. I'll just pretend I'm sending this to Kendra. Assigning this email to you. Client is asking questions about inspection. Any answer. That way they understand why the email is being assigned to them, and they just don't have a random email in their inbox and they don't know why. So once you create the note, it's added there below the original email, and they know why. And what I really like about the note is You can also have like an internal conversation. So let's say I assign an item to Kendra from the inbox, but then Kendra doesn't fully understand how to answer the question. She can assign it back to me with a note back with a question. Like, hey, okay, yeah, I'll answer the question about the inspection, but can you remind me, like, how do I answer this part of the question? So we can have a back and forth conversation about this particular thread without her having to call me or text me or message me on Slack about it. And so that's what we really liked about the Notes and Follow Boss is we no longer use email, text, or instant messaging. We use Slack about anyone in Follow Boss because it was getting too messy. We just said, okay, you know what? Our standard operating procedure is if we have any questions about a particular client in Follow Boss or a particular email in Follow Boss, we'll just either tag each other in a note and assign that conversation in the inbox, or if it's just a general question, we add a note in their timeline. Here's the note right here. So if you're in the inbox, it's down here. Whoop. I don't know why it does that when I change screens. So if you're in the inbox, you can add a note and you can mention the person. And then after you click create, it posts it here. And then you can assign it. Oh, I think she got notified. She's viewing it. You can ignore. I'm just testing. Sorry. So you also get notified. And then when you assign, you see the notes here. But you can also add notes, this is totally off topic. You can also add notes to a person's profile here too. So if you have a question about a lead and it's not specific to an email thread, you can tag someone. I'm not going to actually post it. You can tag someone here and ask the question, and we'll have sometimes 5 message long threads about a question. And we can sometimes loop in like 3 different team members until we get a question resolved. So it's pretty fun. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Okay, so far I've shown you how to transition your email into the team inbox, and now I'm going to show you how to transition your phone number into that same inbox we just created. So all the stuff that we skipped in the first part, we're now going to configure. But it does come with some downsides, and I only recommend it for a few certain people. So if you've been following along and implementing everything I've been showing you live in your account, I recommend you don't do this part and don't implement and just watch. And I'll show you the downsides at the end. The reason I'm not telling you the downsides now is they don't make sense at all until you see the process. So I'll show you the downsides and then you can decide whether or not you want to implement, because the downsides could be a deal breaker for you of whether or not you want to transition your phone number into that team inbox as well. Okay. Hi, Michelle. I see you're hopping in 30 minutes into the call, so you can catch the webinar. We're just catch the recording. So we're just getting into the second part, so you can catch the first part in the recording. Okay, before you, and when I say phone number, I'm talking about your Follow Boss phone number. Porting your cell phone number into Follow Boss is a whole other webinar, but we're talking about your Follow Boss number. Before you add your Follow Boss number to the team inbox, you will want to configure the settings in the team inbox that we skipped over. So going back to that team inbox, you have to click on inbox and then manage and then click the edit icon. Again, we're ignoring that random phone number you were given by Follow Boss. So we are going to configure the call routing. With everyone that you shared the email inbox, they are going to by default also receive the incoming calls. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be porting over your Follow Boss personal number into this team inbox that you connected your email to, anyone that you shared that email inbox with is also going to receive the incoming calls. So if you want different team members managing your email, and then a different set of team members managing your incoming calls, then you want to create two different inboxes, one that only connects your email and then one that only connects your phone number. So if that's you, you can just follow the same steps I showed in the first part of the video, and then just just follow the steps and add your team members. Okay, so call routing, the team members that you added, I recommend checking all three of these rows. If you cannot check this box for anyone in Follow Boss, it's because they have not added their mobile phone to their settings. So let me stop share really fast, and because I don't want to give away my mobile number. So let me share again here. So if that is you and you can't check that center box, you'll want to make sure that each person logs into their Follow Boss account, goes back to their My Settings page by clicking that top right corner, and they enter in a mobile number here. Otherwise, Follow Boss can't ring their cell phone when they get the incoming call. Okay, going back to that Manage page. So I recommend checking all three. So what this first column is going to do, ring desktop. That means if the person is sitting in front of their computer, then if you receive an incoming call to the phone number that you're going to be transitioning over to this team inbox, it's going to ring their computer. If you check this center box, if they have their phone on them, it's going to ring their phone. I highly recommend checking this box, press 1 to answer, because if you don't, and you need to do it for everyone, if you don't, if they receive the phone call on their cell phone and you don't have this box checked, let's say Jenna receives it on her cell phone. If she decides she wants to decline the call for whatever reason, because she's just trying to silence her phone really quickly, or if she's on the other line, or she just wants to decline it, when she clicks decline, then it's going to decline the call for everyone else. So it'll decline the call for Jesse and Kendra, and it will stop ringing for everyone. And so as a result, the person's call just gets declined for everyone, and then it doesn't go to anyone's voicemail. So you don't want that to happen. So press 1 answer is how you avoid that. And when you have that feature enabled, when you answer the call, you press 1. Or when you answer the call, you just hear a little automated message that says press 1, and to be connected to the lead, and you press 1, and then the phone call connects. Underneath that, voicemail, just like you recorded a voicemail whenever you added on the dialer, you need to record a voicemail in the inbox. I don't recommend checking the do not disturb. That's a manual thing you have to remember to check and uncheck. Just leave do not disturb off. If outside of office hours, you can set office hours in Follow Boss, but I don't recommend changing these settings. If you forward the incoming call to a number, if it's outside of office hours, what that's going to do is it'll just go to one specific phone number and go to one specific voicemail. And so then that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the inbox. And most likely you're going to be forwarding it to your cell phone, and you're going to be then bombarded with calls specifically to you and voicemail specifically to you, and you're back to managing a busy inbox again. Same with no answer. I recommend keeping it as is and not going specific to one phone number. Just go to the inbox voicemail where everyone can see it and everyone can manage it. And then you'll want to click save. Yeah, you can catch the replay, that's fine. A lot more content, taking longer than I thought. Duplicate sites there. Okay, once you do that, you'll then be able to transition your number over to the inbox. To do that, you click on admin phone numbers. You'll scroll down on the page until you see your name and your number. Again, you're only going to have a phone number if you have added on the dialer. You don't get the dialer by default if you have the Grow plan and you're paying per user. If you're paying, I think it's $69 a month per user, the dialer is an optional add-on. People get the dialer by default if you have the Pro or the Platform account. After you click swap number, let me pull it up in my account. Let me find mine. Once you click swap number, this is what pops up. So it's saying swap Elena with this number. So this number that's showing here is my personal Follow Boss number. It's saying, okay, you want to swap your phone number with, this is where I'm selecting that I want my personal Follow Boss number to go into that team inbox instead. So you'll click that drop-down menu and select the team inbox that you just created. Now, I have two in here because of the dummy one I just created. So you'll select the inbox you just created that you want your phone number to go into, and then click swap. Once you click swap, your Follow Boss personal number in your settings is going to show that random dummy number you were given, and then your team inbox is going to now show your personal Follow Boss number instead. Then what will happen is incoming calls, texts, and voicemails will show up in your team inbox for other team members to help you manage. And incoming calls will now ring everyone. I forgot to mention, I should have put it in the slide. When you're adding team members to that team inbox, make sure you add yourself so that you also get the incoming calls rung to you. I don't know why I forgot to add you yourself, but if you want the calls yourself, be sure you add yourself. Okay, I think the next one is the downsides. Yes, okay. First one is not as bad as the second one, but I thought I would mention it. The first downside is if you have any team members in Follow Boss that had the admin user permission, so not owner, not agent, but admin, they'll automatically have access to your inbox and will be able to see it. That's something I learned after the fact. So everyone in my team has admin access. So once I created it, even though I said, I only want Kendra, Jenna, and Jesse to help me manage it, everyone saw Elena's inbox anyway. So it might not be a big deal to you. It's not really a big deal to me, but everyone was like, why do I see Elena's inbox? I said, wait, I only shared it with those 3 people. So everyone else doesn't get the incoming calls because I only selected those 3 people, but they still see the inbox anyway. The second one is the bigger downside. The reason why I only recommend this update for a select few people is because of the setting I'm about to show you. So after you make the swap in your settings in Follow Boss, you can change, I have to scroll all the way down here. You can change your default outbound number. So what you're changing here is when you make calls out of Follow Boss, you obviously want your calls to come from your number that you are already using. You don't want it to come from that random dummy number that the team inbox created. So in order for that to happen, you want to make sure that your outbound number is that team inbox you created. And you can see that that's the case here. My outbound number is Elena's inbox. So make sure you go to that page after you create the team inbox and change your outbound number to whatever you name that team inbox. In this case, mine is Elena's inbox. And it should be that Follow Boss personal dialer number that you were previously using, and click save. So the downside, and the reason you may not want to use this and set this up, is that outbound number, and I didn't learn this until months later, that outbound number only applies to calls made from your computer. So if you are someone that makes outbound calls from the app, it's going to default to that random phone number you were given from the team inbox. So if you make outbound calls from the app from your phone and you make calls from your computer, leads are going to be called from 2 different phone numbers from you. And then you're going to run in the same problem that you were trying to solve in the first place. Leads are going to be calling you back to that random phone number. Plus, leads are going to be called from you from 2 different phone numbers, and there's going to be confusion. So I only recommend this to people who don't make calls on the go through Follow Boss on the app. So this is really most beneficial to team leaders that don't make calls on the go, or agents that are not in production anymore, team leaders that are not in production anymore, and just receive inbound calls, or to just make calls on the computer. Thankfully, I don't make calls through the app, so it did not affect me. Otherwise, I would have been in for a shock. This is something that someone posted in the community, again, months later, like 6 months later, and said, hey, I changed my outbound number. When I make calls from the computer, it comes from this number. But when I make calls from my app, it comes from this number. What am I doing wrong? And then someone from Follow Boss said, oh yeah, the outbound number only applies to the computer. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because they can't. I've sent messages to Follow Boss like, can you make that update? That would solve a lot of headache. So that's why I wanted you to watch to the end for you to make the decision of whether or not you want to make that transition for the phone number. There's really no downside to making the transition to the email other than you making the decision of, do you want the email replies to come from your email address, or do you want it to come from your team member's email address? So that is all. So I mentioned that there were 2 other strategies to help you ensure that you don't miss any incoming calls, texts, or emails. The team inbox was just one. I'm in the middle of a current program I'm teaching called Follow Boss Fundamentals. It's a 9-week program. So that's closed and it's sold out. The next sessions come back out in July. So if you want to join the wait list, you can scan that QR code on the screen. I'll make a note. I'll also include a link to that course if you want to join the wait list for the next rollout starting in July. It's a small group of people, so we cap it. And then if you're not a client of ours, you can scan this as well. Again, I'll include a link to that. And the last resource I wanted to share with you is we are hosting an event. The Coaching Collective, which is the ongoing webinars, if you've been on any of ours, we are hosting our second in-person event. Did I put a QR code? Yeah. We are hosting our second in-person event in August. Excuse me, in Dallas. I had the flu like 5 weeks ago, and I still have this cough. In Dallas at the end of August is going to be piggybacking off of the Tom Ferry Summit, if you happen to be going that. If not, you can fly in anyway. It's from 9 to 4. We had our first one last year. This will be our second. We're focusing on a collaborative experience, kind of like this. This is like a very mini version of it. And this isn't like as collaborative, but it's all peer-led, all tactical, no fluff, no inspirational speeches. It's not just stage to audience. It's all interactive. And it's only focused on 3 specific pillars. All of the topics, all of the peer-led sessions are focused on tech, operations, and marketing. So we're being very specific on, we do have some speakers selected, which we'll be announcing soon, but we also have a lot of space scheduled within the day for peer-led conversations. We want interactions to happen within the audience organically, which is what we loved about last year's event. Just the conversation sparked ideas where it was either someone within the audience said, oh, that reminds me of this process we created. And yeah, I'm open to sharing this. I'll plug in my computer. I'll hop on stage. Or some people didn't like the stage, so they just stayed on the ground and they plugged in their computer and they showed a very specific process that they implemented either that year or previous years. And it was a really great interactive experience. So you can scan that QR code to learn more. More details to come on specific speakers, but again, a lot of it's peer-led and it's really fun. So that will be Friday, August 29th in Dallas in the A-Loft. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this session was recorded. We host, I think, 2 of these a week, free webinars. Be sure to join the Facebook group if you're not already in that group to know about future sessions. I guess I should post that in the chat. Let me do that really fast. Otherwise, we will see you in the next session, which is, I should know this. I don't know it. So join the group and you'll find out because I don't know off the top of my head. But thank you all for joining and we'll see you on our next session. Take care and feel free to email us or post in the Facebook group if you have any questions. Take care.